Hi everyone, my name is Robert and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about why I haven't purchased the Sony A7IV. 6 months in, I've resisted the gas and I haven't purchased it. It's been more of a head decision than a heart decision this time around. And I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer. But obviously I'm going to put some scenarios up to you and let me know what you think. But before we start, Synco have sent me out these. These are the Synco G2A2 microphones, and these were sent out to me by Synco. They asked me to do a review. I said, I'm not actually going to do a review. I'm going to test them while using them to actually record a video. So the whole video is going to be recorded with these microphones. You can see I've got one on now. I'm going to run a series of tests, other tests, to kind of get a feel for how they went. So today we're going to have a bit of a discussion of why I haven't purchased the Sony A7IV. And I think everyone kind of knows what the reason really is. It is almost the perfect camera for most users. It's got all the specs, the latest autofocus, better build, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. But for me, it's that 4K 16 crop. I'm sorry, I can't work with it. I just can't work with it. And some people don't mind it, and you know what? It's not a problem. But you know what? Let's jump in. Let's go back to the beginning. So it's December now, 2021. I think it's on release now, and a lot of people are reviewing the camera. And don't get me wrong, as soon as it was announced, I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it. But I was watching, it was Dan Watson's channel, and he said basically he was doing a real estate shoot. So he was out doing some using some wide angle lenses, and he said one of the problems he had was switching. He kept on switching lenses, and then that's when it really kicked in for me. I don't want to be switching out lenses like that. I don't want to be in this thing of like shooting full frame, and then I'm shooting in a full frame, and then I'm gonna 4K 60 have to switch a lens. It's just too much hassle. Over the years, I've really tried to reduce down what I'm carrying out. I remember the days we used to carry out trolley loads of stuff. Sometimes now I can go out with one camera, one lens, and just shoot. So I'll put a video up here now. No word of a lie, I went to a shoot with the body, the lens, some batteries, gimbal, and SD card, and I shot this video. That's it, one lens. So I don't really want to be carrying extra stuff, and this crop, that's what it brought to me. It's going to be extra stuff. So what I can show you actually, we've got this. We've got the Fuji X-T4 at the moment. We had a 3 and we upgraded it to 4. That was a bit of gas there. Don't get me wrong. That was a bit of gas for me to upgrade, but it was a birthday present to myself, and so the X-T4 is more of an enjoyment camera. I enjoy using that camera a lot. So guys, all this is a quick test to see how the camera works from a distance. Now it's slightly different to most tests you'd have seen on YouTube, whereas what I've done, I've got the camera inside. There's a patio door here. Patio door shut, and what I'm doing, I've got like this barrier so in between. Let's see if the mic works between the closed door, even though it's glass you can see through it. And I've got about a 10-meter stretch in the garden, so I'm going to kind of pace back and see if you can still hear me. So let me know if you can still hear me. If it does cut out, obviously I'll let you know. I'll put some indicators on, but so far so good. All right, let's spin around. Don't know if that makes a difference, but you've got that distance plus the glass, so it might affect it. And it's a bit more of a slightly more congested environment rather than the usual countryside ones we see, or in the park and that, where there's not a lot of interference. Should be a little bit more interference. Like for example, there's a laptop just behind the camera, Wi-Fi at home, you know, just general 3G signals everywhere. So it kind of gives you an idea of how this mic operates in a slightly different environment. So I'm going to give you a use case scenario where I believe this crop's going to be a pain for me. So the Fuji shoots 4K 60 10-bit, but it's got a crop on it. It's a 1.18 crop on the Fuji, which isn't a huge crop, but can still cause a problem. So I was working with an Instagrammer called Tamka. I'll leave a link in the description below, and I'm going to put some footage up here as well. So basically we were shooting in a very tight space, and I was using the 23mm, which is a 35mm equivalent. So I started with pictures, everything was going cool, and I said, yeah, let's start taking some video, because I like this setup here. I was kind of feeling the vibe, and as soon as I switched, the camera, boom, punched in, and it just changed my whole framing. It actually was a little bit too tight to do what I wanted to do. So I actually had to switch lens, and I switched a kit lens, which is a 18 to 55, and it gave me a 27mm equivalent, but give me that back a bit more space. So I had to keep switching on certain scenarios between the kit lens and that lens, and it caused hassle. Now we've been quite happy just to kind of gone in there, just had the lens on and just switched and just kind of got that vibe, but this kind of, that crop set me back slightly. Now, I want to show you guys something quickly. So let me put the camera down. All right. I'm going to come a little bit forward, so I'm a little bit closer to the camera now. Right, the Sony has a crop mode on it, so basically you can punch in from full frame to APS-C stroke through it to Super 35. Now watch this. So this is full frame. That is Super 35. Nah, sorry, that's way too tight for me. So you're in an environment where it's too tight. Let's switch back. Yeah, so if you're in an environment where it's too tight and you start, you know, switching between 4K 60 and pictures, you're gonna have a lot of problems. So I'm actually gonna do something, I'm gonna show you something. So I'm back now in the Super 35 APS mode. So for me to reframe that, I'm gonna have to go back to about here. Now, if you've got a specific kind of environment, you're gonna find that the whole environment changed. I've got a blank wall behind me, but I don't know if you noticed in the video, there were like some shadows this side and a little bit of a, you could see like some detail on this side. Now you've lost all that. Now if you was in like an environment where you were relying on the background to look like that, it's just changed the whole look of the thing. We're gonna take a break from the conversation for a minute and just go back to jump in and test these mics really quickly. So what is, if you notice, I've taken the mic off my shirt and I've got both mics now connected to stands just out of frame. In effect, what this is, it's got two transmitters and a receiver, so you can have an interviewee situation where you're interviewing someone and you both got mics and you record basically one channel to the left, one channel to the right, and it's like a stereo, and you can split the channels and use them for two separate bits of audio. But what I've done here is I've just recorded in stereo. So as you see, I'm moving from left to right. You should be able to hear like almost like a stereo separation, like I'm moving, and give it like a stereo sound. I suppose if you're recording as well, like you want to record something in stereo, I wouldn't use these for like a band or anything, but you could get a stereo effect. But this should give roughly the same idea of a stereo effect. So I can come over this side and I can talk to the camera from this side. You should get more over here, and then I can shuffle over here and you can get more from this side as well. So anyway, back to the conversation. I don't know if everyone's noticed, recently Sony's announced 3 wide angle lenses. Not one lens, you know, not 2 lenses, 3 lenses one time. Sony never announced 3 lenses at one time, let alone. And they're all wide angle lenses. Sony has not a lot of lenses for the APS-C, and they don't have a lot of telephoto lenses. I think Sigma has the best telephoto lens for APS-C, the 56mm. But they don't have a lot of APS-C lenses in total, and some of them are really old. And all of a sudden, they announced 3 wide-angle lenses now. To me, everyone's saying, yeah, APS-C, thumbs up. Nah, mate, those lenses are for the A7IV. That's why they released them. I believe that's why they released them, because basically you had this crop, and someone had to be saying something to Sony about this crop, because Canon don't crop, the R5, R6 don't crop. So why is the Sony cropping? And you know, that's meant to be a direct competitor. So they had to kind of find a way to compensate this crops. One other thing I was kind of thinking of is, okay, I'm not buying a camera, what am I going to get instead? And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, look, A7S III. Don't get me wrong, beautiful camera. And I think actually I was really on the edge of purchasing it, but it's the photo side, and that's going to give me more work on the photo side. So for example, 12 megapixel pixels, a little bit too small. And obviously there's an enhanced feature in Lightroom where you can actually like sort of like up-res it almost, and so you can work with that. But that's time consuming, and I don't want things to take long. I want the quicker, the better. So it's a sunny day here in Croydon, and we're doing test number 3. What we're doing here, we've got a lot more of a different environment. It's a lot more rural. We've got lots of industrial buildings here, lots of antennae. So we're going to get a lot more interference than your normal outdoor country park test. So what I'm going to do, I'll start walking down now, and I'll keep talking to you while I'm walking down. So what we've got here now, we've got quite right. As you can see, I've kind of paused the video here. As soon as I turn around, you get a bit of distortion. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play it a little bit more. Environment. I'll set in industrial over to the, yeah, very, very bad distortion. So basically what happens, not shortly after, the audio cuts out with my back facing towards the camera. So what I'm going to forward the video until I get to the wall and turn around. Right, yeah, so what's happened basically, I've turned around. Obviously there's distortion, but you do pick up the mic back up. I found this test was a bit brutal. This location is very congested. I don't know if you noticed in the other test before where I've done it in my garden, I didn't have no problems with it. Even though it's a short distance, I think this environment is very, very brutal. So I'm gonna continue playing the video. I'm facing back to the camera. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna walk back down to you guys. I'm gonna keep facing and see how we get on. I'll give you an indicator. So now this is 70 meters. I think it's 72 meters, call it 70 meters. So I'm at the 70 meter mark and I'm walking back down, but you can straight away, you can hear distortion. I'll give you an indication of the halfway mark. So just left a 70 meters mark and I'm walking straight down. So I'm gonna forward it now to about the halfway mark. Congested in the 2.4 gigahertz range environment. Everything wireless runs with a 2.4 gigahertz. So this is gonna be a bit more congested than normal. So yeah, this is a test. I'm going to do one more test quickly. I'm not going to do one more test because you can see from here it doesn't really handle it very well. But just to kind of let you know that this was a heavily congested area. Your mileage will vary, but I think this is a worst case scenario. So just keep that in mind. Just to cut in here quickly. I think you guys can notice I'm filming this with window light. Kind of tired of lugging around lights and everything else. So just I'll finger like a diffuser in front of the window. But in the UK, we've got a lot of cloud cover here. So 1 minute it's sunny, next minute it's cloudy. So you might see a slight change in exposure. I'm just gonna have to work with it. I'm not into making things overly complicated these days. Simplicity is the best way forward. So yeah, we're talking about the A7S3, but now another other option is gonna be the A1. I'm not dropping that kind of money on the camera, sorry, it's not happening. Those are like for top-end professionals, you know, that want that kind of thing. And some people will actually take their hard-earned money and drop on that camera. But for me, it's just not gonna work. So if you look at the setup now, obviously we've got two A7III. So if I'm replacing one, I'm gonna replace the other. So I've been in scenarios where, for example, I've done a wedding, I've got two bodies, I've got the 70 to 180, on one camera and a 35mm on the next camera. Nice little setup. You need to have a backup body in the worst case scenario anyway. But for me to replace those two cameras, it's going to cost me, I think, just over £10,000. It's not happening. I'm not investing that kind of money in a camera body. I'm not making enough money to invest back, so it's not really an option. Even though I was talking to a friend of mine, Stuart James, he's got a channel as well. I'll leave a link in his channel because he got an A1, and I'm coming to see you, Stuart, because I want a spin off that. Yeah, he got his one on cheap, and that really tempted me. I was like, oh, that's kind of cheap, but still, no, I'm not investing. So really, I don't really have much options. I'm kind of waiting for the A7R5 now to see what's going on, because that sounds quite interesting, the spec. Maybe Sony kind of realised, yeah, that crop was a problem. Let's kind of like fix it going forward here. So I'm waiting for that camera. Obviously, price-wise now, depends how expensive it is, because I think I've got to really stop spending money because I want it. Do I really need it? And like 4K 60, I don't really need it. But what I want it for really at the moment is that, for example, if I'm working with a company and they say, look, I want some reels, 1080p works fine for you know, most social media, even for like websites, stuff like that. But you go and start cropping into a reel, it gets a little bit borderline soft. You know, it doesn't really work. I've got somewhere I've got away with it, but you really want that 4K 60 to cut at those sides to really get, you know, like a decent image back. So when I do it with Fuji, I've got no problems. But if I do it with the Sony, some of the older stuff I've been cropping for reels, it looks a little bit borderline not good enough. But yeah, so that's what I really want a 4K 60 for more than anything there. And obviously it's nice to have your 4K 60 to have some sharpness and stuff. As you can see, I've changed background again, so it means I'm doing the final mic test, also summing up the video. As you can see, the block's gone. I've got a lapel mic on. You do get two lapel mics, one for each transmitter in the package. Let me know what you think of the sound quality. Also, I'm going to leave a link for the microphone in the description box below. And finally, you know why I'm not buying an A7IV, but I'll let you know why I'm keeping an A7III. This camera's done me stellar throughout the years. I'm going to tag a video on the end of this video of a campaign I shot for a fashion company about 1.5 years ago. It's not a long video, so watch it. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments and everything about the A7IV, about the little video there, and everything in the description box below. I'll catch you in the next one.